Welcome back to the Larry Hembree pregame show. We're here on our Where Are They Now segment, and tonight we're talking with Jim Trout, 1970 graduate of Loogootee High School, who is now in his home in Crandall, Indiana. Jim, how are you this evening?
I'm great. How about you, Larry?
Just fine. Jim, of course, you graduated from Loogootee in 1970, your senior year. Who are some of the ball players that you played with that year?
Rex Seger and Brian Canada were the two other front linemen, and Paul Bruner and Tony Smith were the starters, and other at guard, Rich Yarvin, Dennis Bauer, heck, there was Mike Lannon, just the ones that come to top of my head here.
Right. Well, of course, you came over from St. John's. That's 1970 was the year Loogootee consolidated, and you played at St. John's a couple years before and had some good teams. I think in, '69 you guys had an undefeated season.
That's correct. We had a real good team that year. We were coached by Junior G. Of course, I'm sure everybody remembers Junior, and we played a run-and-gun style, which was a little bit different from the Loogootee style of play. And in '69, we were undefeated, and at times I like to sit back and just wonder what would have happened if the '69 St. John's team and the '70 Loogootee team would have been able to play each other.
Well, you guys may have won that game, I think. But
well, I tell you, it would have been interesting.
Well, Jim, also a lot of people have wondered through the years, all those years, and through the '60s, what might have happened had St. John's and Loogootee actually had, one high school at that time.
Oh, it would have been amazing. We would have had some outstanding teams. There's no doubt about it. Especially if there had been class ball back then. It's hard to say how many titles they could have claimed back then. Were
you guys, at St. John's and Loogootee, did people know each other? Were they friends, or were they on speaking terms, or was it pretty competitive back then?
Well, I mean, we were friends on speaking terms and competitive. I remember my junior year, we did play Loogootee, which was in '69 in the sectional, and my brother Jack and myself and Brian Canada rode the same bus. And of course, they picked us up first at the end of the school day, and we were sitting there in the Loogootee parking lot. And Brian got on the bus, and everybody on the bus gave him a standing ovation and everything, and kind of rubbing it in, So, but it was all in fun, and it was really a good close knit group of people back then.
Did you have any apprehension in 1970 when the schools consolidated? You had to go play for a new coach and go to a new school.
Not really. We got together that summer and, played just some pickup games. Coach Butcher opened the gym for us and let us in, and nothing organized, just get together and play. And that helped a lot to get to know the guys even better. But, I didn't have a problem with it at all. I think more sadness than anything, of just the school closing,
Jim, I was looking in the 1970 yearbook, and, I just, my eyes about popped out of my head. You'll probably confirm this for me. It looks like a misprint to me, but it claims that you had 387 rebounds your senior year at Loogootee.
Well, that's probably correct. I've never sit down and figured it up. I averaged almost 15, I think.
That's unbelievable. I mean, as I sit here and look at that, I was talking to Coach Butcher about that a couple of days ago. Seger had over 300 rebounds, too, and it seemed like every shot that went up that was to come off the board, either you or Rex Seger must have grabbed it. That's just an unbelievable amount of rebounds. And looking back, I went and looked back at some other yearbooks in the '70s, and I didn't see 387 rebounds in a career other than Rex Seger for anybody in the avs, and you had 387 in one season. And a lot of people remember you as a scorer, but that's just a phenomenal stat that it averages around 14, 15 rebounds a game. That's just unbelievable.
Well, yeah, it does. I was really proud of my rebounding. I really made it a point to concentrate hard on that. If I had a bad scoring game, I still like to make up for it on the boards. I remember when I went to Indiana State as a freshman, and I averaged 9 rebounds a game, but that led the team, and I thought, wow, I'm not even in double figures in rebounds, but so I guess maybe 15 is pretty amazing.
Well, what were you, Jim? You were what, 6'6"? 6'6", and of course, Coach Butcher wasn't really used to having size like that. And what was it like playing for Coach Butcher coming over your senior year? What can you share a little bit with us on that?
Well, of course, I'd heard all the horror stories about him from over the years from former players, talking about how he could, really rip you if he got mad, this and that. But it was a pretty enjoyable year. Of course, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of reason to, get mad at anybody. We had such a great year. It's like I said, it was a different style of ball from what I was used to at St. John's, and that took a little bit of getting used to the, slow down pace. but Coach Butcher's a great coach, and he's very smart. He knows what to do to win, and and I tell you what, it was a very learning experience.
Also, in your senior year there, you chipped in 576 points, which may be a single-season record. I'm not sure, but at least in the yearbooks I could review since 1970, that was a single-season high. So that's 576 points and 387 rebounds in one season. Jim, I'd say that was an all-star year, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you did go on in the state there and win the Trester Award in 1970. And leading up to there, we had you had some tough ball games along the way, and see if you can remember this.
Loogootee ball, Brian Canada for the Lions. On the outside, it goes off into Rick Sager. Sager down the corner, back out again to Tony Smith. The Bruner over the side. The shot up there by Canada is up. No good. Off it comes. Rebound comes. Jim Trout has it. Back out again to Smith. Up with his shot. No good. Tip back off again. And tip back up by Jim Trout and in. Jim Trout scores for the Lions. 4-2 now the score. Bloomfield leading by 2. With it is Rick Long. Bring it up here for Bloomfield. Over the side it goes. Out there to Vandeviner. Out is the shot from the corner is good by Bill Ferris. So Ferris, 2 buckets for him, 6-2 now. Bloomfield leads in the ball game. Well, the action has been a little faster than some we had this afternoon. At one time, that is Lugootee's ball. With it is Tony Smith. Tony gives it out here to Brian Canada. Canada holds it, gives it down to Trout. Trout around his man, over the shot, scores! Trout gets his second bucket. He had 33 points this afternoon, 13 of them straight from the free throw line. Rick Long with it for...
Jim, that was 1970 in the regional against Bloomfield. Does that seem like that long ago, or does it seem like yesterday to you?
I tell you what, it seems like yesterday. It's amazing the things you can remember. That just made the hair on my neck stand up. It was really great. I tell you what, if I thought you had a whole bunch of those tapes, I'd ask to borrow them.
Well,
that was pretty amazing.
What we're doing, Jim, here at WRZR, we're right now in the midst of accumulating all the audio and video and things that we can to build a library up just for that very purpose. We were able to get our hands on that tape from Mike Wagner just today.
Wow.
And, of course, I've listened to that one and the Seymour one. It was just unbelievable. But what I wanted to go back on is that Mitchell come down and had beat Bedford in their sectional up there, and you had 33 that game, and I think ended up beating Mitchell maybe 10 points. And the interesting thing was Mitchell had beat you in a holiday tournament on your home floor earlier that year.
That's correct. And I felt kind of like the GOAT at that loss in that tournament because I fouled one of their players right at the end of the game, and he hit a couple foul shots. And whether that was actually the losing point of that game or not, but I looked at it that way, and I was really tickled to death to get another crack at them in the regional, and things just happened to go my way. I definitely had a hot hand that day, and I'd never been 100% from the line, foul line in my life, and that day I hit 13 in a row. It just was really an all-time high for me.
Well, you actually didn't miss any free throws in the regional because as we listened to this tape, as Joe Edwards called it, you ended up hitting 3 more there, and I think you were 16 for 16 in the tournament at one stretch, and I don't know if you missed any at all in the regional. So, Loogootee started gelling for you, and you went on down and you beat Evansville Memorial in the semi-state, and then took on Seymour in the final game, and they had 3 shots at the goal there at the last few seconds. That was a pretty wild experience, but you all won that game 80-78.
Yeah, that was very exciting. I remember that when they come back and took the lead in the toward the end of the game, I just thought it was amazing we was able to get it back from them. Prior to that game, it was funny. We didn't realistically think we had much of a chance to beat them, and we was just talking amongst ourselves. Let's at least keep it close, guys. And when we went into the locker room at halftime with a 2-point lead, that attitude was completely changed.
Well, somebody hit a shot right there at the halftime. You remember who that was?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, I think his name was Jim Trout.
Well,
seems like
I think somebody hit me with a pass right under the basket or something.
Yeah, it was a little guy named Paul Bruner.
Yeah.
And you played a lot of basketball with Paul, and Paul in that Bloomfield game went on and had his game of his life too at 25 points. And you guys struggled a little bit in the first half against Bloomfield, and they were hot, and Paul had a good game, but we came back in the third quarter and got the lead and held the ball in the fourth quarter pretty much.
Right. Now Bloomfield played us tough twice that year. We played them at Switch City, and I don't remember the score, but I think it was real close. It might have been a 10-point game, but then the regional, I know we was behind at half, and Coach Butcher, he pulled one out of his bag of tricks at halftime. He recited us a poem that was really a morale booster, and reach down in your gut and pull one out for the Gipper type thing, and it worked, and we were able to pull it out. It was really great.
Well, that's good, Jim. And of course, you did graduate in 1970, and what have you been up to kind of since then, Jim?
Well, I went 2 years to Indiana State, played. I dropped out of Indiana State and signed a contract with Pittsburgh. Tried to make professional baseball my career, and that didn't pan out. And I just got into the working class, and I've been down here in the Louisville area for 20 years now. I'm working for a major Caterpillar dealer, Wayne Supply. They've got a branch in Evansville. Probably some people have heard of the place. And I'm married and got a 6-year-old daughter, and I'm just on top of the world right now.
Well, that sounds great, Jim. Of course, I bumped into you down in New Albany. We had a 4th grade team down there in the AAU tournament right about Christmas time, and you had your daughter out to see Santa Claus that day.
Yeah, that's right. She still believes in Santa Claus.
Well, that's good. Did Santa Claus bring her what she asked for?
Oh, yeah, and then some.
And then some.
Yeah.
Great. Hey, listen, Jim, it's been good talking to you, but kind of in closing, I just wanted to ask, what playing high school basketball meant to you?
Well, high school basketball to me is, it kind of sets your sights in the right direction. The discipline involved, the camaraderie with your teammates, and I just think it's any kind of organized activity like that. I think is good for kids. There's so many distractions nowadays, and things that can lead a kid astray, and maybe not so much back then, but they were there. They just weren't as common and as open. But I just think it's really good for a kid to be involved. That's the main thing. Not necessarily in athletics, but in some sort of organized activity.
Well, again, I would be remiss in bringing this up, so I need to. You guys went on the Hinkle Fieldhouse, and you played Carmel in the first game, and of course, I think you guys end up losing that by 9 or 10 points.
9 points, yeah.
9 points, and but at the end of the day, when they handed out the awards, Jim Trout was awarded the Trester Award, and you had an opportunity to walk out on the floor and be presented the award, and what was going through your mind when all that occurred, Jim?
Oh, yeah, I tell you what, I don't know if my feet were even touching the floor. It was such a surprise. I had no idea that was going to happen. Now, between the games, between the morning and evening session, we went and ate at a restaurant, and I read an article to where my name was mentioned as a candidate. That's the first that it had ever even entered my mind, and but I had no inkling that I was going to win it. I thought Dave Shepard had it wrapped up for sure. It was like an explosion going off in my head when they announced my name. It was something.
What you recall? What went through your mind the first time you stepped out onto the floor there and at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and you guys were in Loogootee's first of 2 state appearances? What was that like?
Well, of course, the size of the place. It was just so awesome. The stands. It was unlike Roberts Stadium. Of course, Roberts, is the circular design like Loogootee seats all over. Of course, at Hinkle, most of the seats are on the sides, and they just kept going up and up and up. It was just unbelievable. And but it was hard not to get caught up in the excitement. And I think we, as a team, we did get caught up in the excitement because we had a lead at the end of the 3rd quarter, and then we let it slip away from us. I think we kind of got out of our game a little bit in the 4th quarter. But it's an experience that most people would never, have a chance to experience, and I'm just proud I was a part of a team that was up there, and especially now that the class ball has come about. That's just an experience that a small school is never going to be able to to go through again.
You recall what Coach Butcher said to you, if anything, after the game in the locker room?
Not exactly. He was proud of us. There was no criticism. We played hard. Just hold your heads up, guys. You have nothing at all to be ashamed of.
Well, as a side note to that, your friend Paul Bruner there hit a very long shot right before, or right at the end of the game, which I think still ranks as the longest shot hit in state tournament.
I believe you're right. He hit that. It was probably from the foul line at the far end. I forget how many feet, but that was pretty neat.
Are you keeping him out of trouble?
Yeah, I try to. I don't see him too often, not as often as I like, but yeah, he is down in this area, and we get together occasionally.
Well, listen, Jim, we're running out of time, but, it was very much a pleasure and an honor to get to speak to you tonight, and we wish you the best of luck down there in your job and your career with your family, and, of course, we really appreciate being able to talk to you former ball players. It does a lot for the program, and I know that our fans here, some of them can't get to ball games that probably were in attendance when you played. They love to hear this. We get a lot of good positive feedback from the community, getting to hear where you guys are at and what you're up to, and reminiscing with you about when you played, and we greatly appreciate you taking the time this evening to be with us.
Well, I sure appreciate it, Larry, and the people in Loogootee are great. It's amazing, they don't forget. I go up there now, and people remind me of things that it's just unbelievable. The way they still support you.
Basketball was important to them, and that makes you an important figure here. And people probably remember more about little things that you may have forgot, but they seem to remember those things, don't they, Jim?
That's right. That's right. I'm definitely proud to be a part of it.
Well, Jim, thanks a lot, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, Larry. Thank you.
You're welcome.